Hey y'all, it's Jamie here from Once Upon a Christmas Tree Farm, and I want to talk to y'all about dividing dahlia tubers, which, as we all know, is super intimidating, incredibly intimidating. I watched every YouTube video there was out there, and you know, all these seasoned pros were like cutting away at things, and they're like, yeah, you see the eye, it's right there, it's like in your face. And I was like, I don't see anything, like nothing. So this video is just the perspective of dividing dahlia tubers from a first-year flower farmer. I didn't know that we were actually going to be doing this video, so the recordings of the dahlia tubers of me dividing that I had done before, I didn't have the mindset that it was actually going to be shared to anybody. I was just recording just to kind of, I don't know, kind of like keep track of. So let's start from the beginning. We are in northern Utah, so we are zone 6B, and how our farm is, it gets incredibly, you know, we get a lot of snow, and for this winter, a lot of rain. So it gets incredibly wet in the ground, and obviously we get freezing temperatures at night. So we do have to dig our dahlia tubers up, which is, and was incredibly tedious. I kid you not. I found myself in tears more than once trying to get those out of the ground. What I did is I had a 4-pronged pitchfork, and I waited until after our first freeze. And as a matter of fact, I think our first freeze was incredibly late last year. And then I waited another like week or two after that. So our ground was actually pretty frozen, and it had me nervous because I was worried about our tubers. It was also extremely hard for me using that pitchfork to kind of dig some of those tubers out. Brian actually had to come out there one day and help me because I could not get them, and he broke our pitchfork. So yeah, so quick, long story short, when I dug my tubers up, I actually decided to keep most of the dirt on them. So I took some little tools and broke away some of the mud and the clumps. But for the most part, I kept the dirt on there. I didn't wash it with water. I still let them dry at least 24 hours. I probably could have gone even longer before storing them. And after the tubers dried, we bought those big black and yellow bins from Costco. And what I did is I bought pine shavings. That was my choice of, I guess, medium that I decided to use. I know a lot of people use peat moss and vermiculite and whatnot, but I decided to kind of, I don't want to say go cheaper, but kind of go cheaper. But also, I'm in a very dry climate, and so I didn't want anything too heavy on the tubers. I kind of wanted to keep light and maybe a little bit of air circulation, so I didn't want anything heavy on them. But what I did is I did not divide them in the fall. I know a lot of people do because they say the eyes are more visible, but I didn't have enough time. I got all of them stored in about 10 of those Costco bins, and we put them in our adjoining sunroom to the house, which normally during the winter stays somewhere between 45 and 55 just on its own. So I kind of feel like we lucked out on that room. It's a creepy ass room, but we lucked out on it. It benefits us with the dahlia tubers. But anyway, I just let them sit there for a couple of months. I didn't go check on them like everybody tells you to. I'm like, if they're gonna rot, they're gonna rot. If not, they're not. Come January, fast forward to January, I started pulling the tubers out one bin at a time. And I actually just set up a little shop here in my living room. I got a 6-foot folding table, a chair, a bin to dump the, you know, the excess tubers and trash or sacrificial tubers, trash, everything. Got all new tools. I felt like a kid on the first day of school with all my new fun tools. And then from there, one clump at a time, I divided our tubers. And I will say this, out of about 100, maybe about 180 tuber clumps total, I lost 2 to rot. And they rotted because I left too much mud on them. And I was also okay with it because they were big box store tubers, and I was okay if I lost them or whatever. It didn't matter to me. But out of 180, I lost 2. Everything else was, I was so proud of them. They looked so pretty. And believe it or not, digging the tubers out of the ground, like I said, was incredibly tedious. I was like, I even called my dad. I was like, I don't think I want to do dahlia tubers. This is too much. But dividing dahlia tubers, which to me take even longer, I was obsessed with it. I don't know if it's because you're in the middle of winter and you're stuck inside and it's snowing and it's cold. And so it is something to do where you're touching dirt, you're touching nature. It's very relaxing going around all the tubers. I will say that I felt like at the end of the night, like my posture where I was constantly leaned over, I did have to work on that, like watching my posture for like a week afterwards. But besides that, it was relaxing, man. Give me a job dividing dahlia tubers and I'll be there all day long. I've grabbed a tuber out of the bin and I take a few minutes and I try to get some of the pine shavings off. I try to get some of there's little dirt clods in there. I'm just trying to clean it up at this point. This one's pretty good though, as you can see, like this one's pretty clean. But then I'll take a second and I'll examine the entire tuber. I want to look at all of them, all the nooks and crannies, because a lot of times you'll see tubers kind of intertwine with one another. So I want to kind of see the best way I can get into that sucker. And what I'm going to do here is go straight to the most beautiful, perfect one, because I know it's going to come off perfectly, just like that. Eye, neck, body, all intact. But this next one I think is going to be, they start getting a little tougher. You'll see me kind of like checking the neck. So where I'm like kind of poking and prodding, 1, I'm cleaning out the dirt. And 2, I'm kind of checking the necks, because if the necks aren't super strong or if they're broken, I just cut them off. This tuber here, I work so hard at. I'm going at every single angle trying to get it out. And right here, I'm using the snips. But here in a second, I'm like, okay, it's time for another tool, because you saw the snips just slip right there. So I grabbed this tool kind of just to try to cut it at a different angle to try to get it to loosen up from the main clump. And then watch this. I did all that work checking for eyes and it goes in the trash. It's a sacrificial tuber, and that is okay. Don't get frustrated with yourself. You are not going to keep all the tubers. It is better to have sacrificial tubers and have good healthy ones than it is for you to worry about keeping all of them. So here so far, I've gotten 2 good tubers and 1 sacrificial. I know here in a second, I'm going to have, right there, you can see that bendy neck. It's no good to me. So I'm getting rid of anything with the bendy neck, a broken neck. This guy's a little shriveled. He kind of wasn't worth keeping. So I'm getting him out of the way to get the big boy, because this one's pretty. I love it when I'm about to tell you how pretty this one is. This one had the most beautiful eye on it. So just hold tight with me so you can see this thing, because there are still some that I'm like, dude, I don't know if it has an eye or not. But this one was so pretty and so like in your face. Look at here. I have to show it to you. Hold on, give me a second. I know it's a little blurry. Wa-da-da. There she is. Look at that. Alrighty, so what you have here is, to me, the most perfect tuber. You got a nice plump body, got a perfect strong neck, and then right there at the top, right next to my thumb, it is the most gorgeous eye. First of all, don't get caught up in what the body of the tuber looks like. You can have them skinny, they can be fat. Okay, and as far as organizing your tubers, I am no pro at all. I like to write things down. Even to this day, I still like to do like written to-do lists and checking things off, scratching it out. That's no different with my dahlias. So I just grabbed a notebook, and as I divided the tuber, I wrote down the name of the dahlia. So for instance, Oh Honey is number 143, and I have 10 tubers of Oh Honey. I also know that I can find it in bin 24. So this allows me to know exactly like what tuber I have, its name, its assigned number, which bin I can find it in. It's just it's my way of staying organized. When I had them out in the field, I had their kind of map written out 2 or 3 times to make sure that I kept everything labeled and knew where everything was. And believe it or not, everything was written out, everything was mapped out, and I still have 59 mystery tubers because as I was digging them up and labels and tags were falling off, they still like just, yeah, it happens. It happens, you just shrug and move on. Thankfully, it wasn't any of my favorites, so I'm okay with that. Alrighty, and welcome back. I actually forgot the outro of the last video. Brian completely edited it, and he was like, you forgot the outro. So here is the outro. And what is that? It is our way to say thank y'all so very much for watching our channel. If you saw any of the products that we mentioned in this video, we have links below directly towards those products. And if you like what you saw, we would love it if you would like and subscribe to our channel. We've got lots of things, lots of projects coming up. And if you have any questions whatsoever, let us know. Thank y'all again. And watch the bloopers. It does get...
Wow.
Sorry. Brian was dancing in the back. He was lifting his shirt up and dancing in the background, so I apologize. And then, nope, I don't mean, and then, so anyway, from, yeah, it's all right. It's all right. All right, so, from the ground. Okay, so myself anymore, so I don't know if my boobs have dropped down. They good? No. Stutter, stutter, stutter. Oh, and watch the bloopers. How